Why do I open Tiny Glade on a regular basis? Why is it my go-to game for bad days, tired days, low energy days, and good days? All of that is going to be answered in this video, even though you could probably tell the answer just from looking at this scene. Welcome back to KatyCatGaming, or welcome to KatyCatGaming, depending if you're new or if you're returning. And today I'm going to build a little fairy cottage just while we have a chat about Tiny Glade and why why you should play it, why it's my go-to, and why it's becoming part of my channel. This is basically going to be a video essay. So you know those ones that any Austin and stuff do? I'm going to do one of those, but my way, because it's my channel and I can do what I want. To start, why do I open Tiny Glade? Almost subconsciously at this point. I mean, is it to do with these little guys? Because it might be. Is it to do with the gorgeous landscape and the animals? Definitely plays a part. Is it the music? Which, by the way, is getting a vinyl, apparently, which I may have to buy. Or is it just the peacefulness of it? Let's talk about it. So this is maybe a fairy cottage, so I'm actually just gonna remove this. This seems a bit more of a fairy mansion than a fairy cottage, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. There we go. So if you've been watching some of my Tiny Glade stuff, you'll know that I have kind of a routine when it comes to this game. And maybe that plays a part in it, is that I know what I'm doing. Like I have a structure to it. But I feel like even if you don't have a structure to it, it's still a good game. For when everything feels a bit too much. It's not even like you have complete control over a whole world. Because you don't. You have complete control over this square. This square is what you get. And this square is all you get. You can't expand it, you can't shrink it. This is just what you have. And it is actually and maybe that's what it is. You're given a base, a canvas, and it's not even a blank canvas, which is interesting. The canvas always has something on it. If it's the daily theme, whether it's the daily theme, whether it's just you started afresh, there's always going to be a little building so that if you're somebody who needs a starting point, there is always a starting point for you, ready to go. Sorry, little guy. There are no penalties in this game. As a result of no penalties, there's no failure. There's no real frustrations. I mean, sometimes if a build doesn't go quite the way you want it to, maybe that could cause a tiniest bit of frustration. But a lot of the time, even when the build doesn't go the way you want it to, you end up with something that's still beautiful. And maybe even better than what you originally planned. The main reason I wanted to sort of talk about this game today is that it's become a bit of a comfort game. If I have a low energy day, or if I've had a really stressful day, anything like that at all, I open this game. Like there's very few games that I will immediately just be like, oh man, I need to play this right now because everything's too much and I just want to exist without stress for a little bit. But this is it. This is that game for me. And it's an interesting one because I've never had that before. As some of you may know, I am not the most confident person. I am not, oh my god, that's so cute. I am not a, how can I put this without it sounding so self-absorbed? I'm just not, I have mental illness basically. This is so hard. I don't know why I'm even doing this. But basically I have anxiety and depression. And I know how a lot of people feel about that. People hear it and they go, oh, another one's that's like has stress sometimes and suddenly thinks they have, you know, all the problems in the world, whatever, and I get it. I'll be the first to admit that anxiety has become a bit of the new sore back. I will be the first to admit that. As unfair as it may be, because there is a lot of us that do just, you know, have it. And I'm one of these people that actually doesn't see much of an issue with self-diagnosing. I am diagnosed, like a doctor diagnosed me. And I'm on medication, and I've been to therapies and stuff, just to make that clear. But it was through self-diagnosing that I then went to the doctor to speak to them about it. I don't see an issue with self-diagnosing, because a lot of the time the reason people do it is there's something wrong. Like they're looking at themselves and they're thinking, I seem to struggle more than other people I know. And there has to be a reason for it somewhere. And that just kind of tends to be the reason. So I don't have an issue with that sort of thing, just to make that very clear. If you self-diagnose, I'll assume that the reason you've done it is because there's something happening in your life that makes you feel like you need an answer to what's happening. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is taking an interesting turn. My point is that sometimes life's just really noisy and loud and just kind of a nightmare. And it's important to have somewhere where your brain quietens down one way or another. And I completely understand that, again, people hear that and just think, you know, another one. But sometimes it's just necessary, you know? Sometimes you really do just need somewhere that feels safe. And for me, and I think for a few different people actually, Tiny Glade kind of is that. There's a really lovely community, and that is definitely a major plus for this. Because this community for Tiny Glade are so supportive. I remember looking at other people's builds in the Discord and thinking, oh man, I suck. I'm so bad at this. Like, these people are so good. Which is a similar feeling to what I had with Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing was one of those games that I saw people playing it and I was like, man, I am never going to be as good as these guys. And that's not, I mean, it's a comfort game. That's not the vibe you should be going for. I know what a lot of people think. You know, well, you know, you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. Everyone has their own sort of strengths. Everyone has their own stuff going on. Some people have more time. Some people have less time. And I agree. It is not healthy to compare yourself to other people. However, it's too easily done. And I think that is very much part of it. Is that I was looking at these other people's stuff and I was thinking, wow. I kind of wish I was as good as these people. Because these people are incredibly talented and I am not. Not a good way to look at yourself. But my point is that I saw this and I still was like, there's a first time build section. So I shared one of my builds in the first time build section. And they were so nice. The people were like, wow, this is your first build? That's gorgeous. And it really wasn't gorgeous. It wasn't good. It was very basic. But because they knew I was just starting out, They were so supportive. They were like, wow, this is awesome that you found this game and that you're joining our community and that we're all able to watch you grow as part of our community. And that's a very beautiful thing. There's not a whole lot of those around, frankly. So, a community does help, but what if you're somebody who's not that bothered about community? And I get that. I play Path of Titans sometimes. The community there is not the best. I don't play Path of Titans for the community. It's a good job I don't. I guess it's not. It's a bit toxic. But my point is, I don't really want that, but alright. The point is, the community that is there, if that is something you're looking for, is wonderful. And they are so supportive. If you ask anybody, oh, how did you do that? That's a really cool build. How did you do this? How did you do that? They will actually tell you. There's no gatekeeping. They will just be like, hi. Yeah, thank you for your compliment, first of all. The way I did this is blah, 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 blah. And you'll just be like, wow, that's how you do it. That's very cool. And it's honestly as easy as that. Which I know what you're thinking. Wow. It should be as easy as that. And I enjoy that the community is so chill. Because they don't have to be, frankly. The other thing I very much appreciate is that people are just kind in the community. We're all just here to chill, to have a good time. And again, that is not a common thing in a lot of gaming communities, unfortunately. As much as it probably should be. It's not always that easy, you know? Mainly the point of what I want to talk about here is that this game is perfect for when I have an unkind brain. Because no matter what you do, even if you're like not that good, you can make something beautiful. And you're perfectly in control. There is no shame. Like, if you're not good, look at that. If you're not good, that's okay. Nobody is gonna fault you for that. Because A, you don't have to share it with anybody if you don't want to. And even if you do share it with people, they're always super supportive. They're just like, yeah, wow. And granted, there is a lot of secrets in the game. I will be the first to admit that the game is not always very clear on how to do a lot of the cool stuff. But I think that's part of the charm. It encourages people to help each other. It encourages people to be like, hey, I saw that somebody did this, how did they do it? And all you have to do is ask. I recently watched somebody's YouTube video. In fact, it wasn't even recently, it was ages ago. I don't know why I said recently. Last year, I watched somebody's YouTube video when I first got this game. And that's very helpful, Molly, thank you. What are you doing? Look, Molly. Look, happy. Hello! They showed how to do a sheep. They did a sheep coaster, basically. They did a little roller coaster you could go around on. And that was the first I ever saw of the sheep coaster. First thing I ever saw of the sheep coaster. And these days, you'll know that the sheep coaster features heavily on the channel. So I was very impressed with it. I didn't know the sheep could go on it. I knew about the coaster. Didn't know the sheep could go on it. So I even asked her. I said, I commented on her video. And I said, Molly, please, go away. I commented on her video and I literally just asked. I was like, wow, I didn't know the sheep could go on the coaster. How do you do that? What, like, tell me everything you know, sorceress. And you know what? She did exactly that. This very kind lady, content creator, she was like, hi, thanks for watching my video. Here's how to do the sheep coaster, and here's what they do when you do the sheep coaster, and it's really fun. I highly recommend it. There was no like, just ignore me. There was no gatekeeping whatsoever. She was very kind, and she just simply was like, you want to know? I'll tell you. And it really can be that easy. Like, she was very, very nice. And I still follow her to this day. She's a very, very good. I'll try and put her link in the description. Hopefully I remember. Sorry if I don't. She probably doesn't watch this. I'm under no false pretense that she watches this. As I was saying, Tiny Glade is a very special game for exactly these reasons. It's not just about the kindness of the community, but it's somewhere to go when you're not feeling your best. And that matters a lot, I feel. Maybe more than people realize. Today's sort of, I'm gonna sound so old here, so apologies in advance. Today's world can be a very, very lonely place. And I don't think anybody would deny that, frankly. It can be a lonely place to exist and just vibing. And the thing is, for a lot of people, it's so hard. Life is so hard. I'm not even saying for me, because that'd be unfair. I'm very lucky in where I am in my life. Granted, the stuff I want to change, but I am aware that I am lucky compared to some people. And I would never, ever pretend otherwise. However, there's nothing wrong with being unhappy with where you are in your life. Because that's the only way you're going to change anything, is if you realize that something isn't the way you want it to be. Tiny Glade has helped me a lot with this, I have to say. I know that sounds probably a bit bizarre, but I just mean in regards to if you don't like something, change it. If you make, because obviously you saw at the beginning of this, I didn't like the cottage that was there, so I just got rid of it and I changed it, and now this is here, and I kind of prefer this. So, and it is, the thing is, people are like, well, that's alright for you to say. Maybe you have a position in life that allows you to do something like this. And it won't be that easy for everybody, but it is that easy for a lot of us. And I think we forget that sometimes. There's such an expectation of what people should be doing in their lives, especially when you reach a certain age. There is a major expectation, especially for, like I say, people of a certain age, people that are like getting towards my age, getting older than me. Yeah, it's just a lot of expectation in the world, which is a bit unfair, frankly. We're all just living, you know? But that's not the point. There is a lot going on a regular basis. And sometimes people just need somewhere to go to shut their brain up for a bit. That's very much what Tiny Glade is for me. Like I say, there's no penalties. There is no wrong move. There's no wrong solution. What you do is entirely up to you and nobody else. It is your little world. It is yours to do as you please. And that's something, there's no influence. Granted, you have like, you have your daily themes, but you don't have to do them. There's no pressure to do them. They're there to help you. So if you don't have any ideas, but you just want to build, those daily themes are there to just be like, hey, why not make one of these? This is a cool idea. But there is no pressure to actually do it. And it does give the impression of being out in nature. As mad as that might sound, a lot of people are just like, well, just go outside. Sometimes it isn't that easy, you know? Sometimes you do want to go outside, but it might be that the weather is awful. That's my biggest issue, is that the weather is awful. Here in Scotland, today we have snow, for example. Do you think I want to go out in the snow? Because I don't. Oh no, I've trapped these fish. um, so yeah, like that's not something I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna go out in this freezing cold snow to get with nature. Like, I don't want to do that. And that's okay. Because I have this. I know it sounds ridiculous because this is not a replacement for nature. I would never say it is. Let's just make that real clear. Do not replace nature with this. It's not. It's not what I mean. But there's also no reason that if you're having a bad brain day, you shouldn't just be able to relax the way that you want to relax. This is close to nature. Especially for anybody who actually does have difficulties with that sort of thing. Which you have to remember, people do. It's not easy for everybody to do everything that most of us take for granted. Beautiful. Cute. But yeah, I think there's just a level of freedom with this that just, excuse me, ducky, doesn't just appeal to me, but I think appeals to the community in general. But it's very easy for to take for granted various things that you're able to do. That's what I thought. Right, okay. I was so confused by that. But Tiny Glade is very special to me in a very particular way. And I know this is going to sound completely bizarre. But it just helps me when my brain is too loud. Which is, unfortunately, a little bit of a regular occurrence. Like I say, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. So sometimes, things are too much. And this is not a woe is me. It's just being honest about what my sort of existence is. And it's okay, like it is what it is. It's something I've just sort of learned to deal with. It's good. It's all right. It's fine. Don't worry. But part of that sometimes means that doing things I enjoy suddenly are too much effort. And I'm not saying that this will never become too much effort. But I find that because there's not a whole lot of issue, I can make things in this that actually just don't feel like a whole lot of effort, even though they look amazing. And the best way for me to explain that, I think, is actually to just ooh, ooh, that's cool. Um, is actually to just sorry, I need to concentrate on this bit. Like, there's no you don't have to make anything perfect. You really don't. I mean, I am a perfectionist, so you'd think that my perfectionism would get in the way of making this fun. It doesn't. In fact, if anything, it's one of the few things that calms it. I don't understand why. You'd think just looking at it, you'd be like, oh yeah, no, I can see that being a bit of an issue. I definitely think I've trapped those fish. I could definitely see like why this might be an issue for somebody with perfectionism. You'd be like, oh man, I really need this to be a specific way. And I'm not gonna say like, oh, for everybody, that has perfection in this game won't be an issue. Because everyone's experience is very different. I know that. But I just find for mine, it's so chill. Like, I don't feel the perfectionism when I'm doing this. I mean, maybe sometimes, but nothing that I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have the energy for this today. Like, I haven't had that once with this. So I'm very glad. Very grateful for that. Because I did have that with Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is one of those games that I get very upset with. You're not supposed to do. But I just find that, you make something and you're like, oh man, I'm really happy with this. This looks so cool. That's the best thing I've made. And then people are supportive in the community, don't get me wrong. I don't want to make it sound like people aren't supportive. Though these days, some people are like, oh, you're still playing that. Yes, we are, because there's an update coming out soon that I'm very excited for. But you see other people's stuff and what they've done with the items available, and you just sort of look at it and you're like, man, I was so happy for like 2 seconds. Again, it's not the vibe for Animal Crossing, but it genuinely does feel that way a lot of the time. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I am not good at this. Other people have made such beautiful things, and I have made a mess, basically. I know, that is not the way to look at it, but you can't help it. Especially when you see some of the amazing, like I can remember looking at some of the amazing things people made and just thinking, I couldn't do that. Even if I really put like real days worth of time and effort in, there's no way I could achieve anything like that. Which, as I say, very unhealthy attitude. Very unhealthy way to look at things, because it's not like that in Animal Crossing, and nobody would want you to feel that way when they make things. They're just making things that they enjoy, and that's all it is. Nobody is trying. Oh, sorry, little bud. Nobody is trying to make you feel bad about it. And that almost makes it worse because they're like, oh, you could do it. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, because you've done it. And you've done it in such a way that it would just be copying you. And even though I'm so, like, in love with what you've done, I know that I never even would have thought of doing something like that. And I find that it's not that the community is toxic, it's just that I have a toxic attitude towards the community, and I know that's me. That's entirely on me, and I would never, ever, ever say otherwise. I am fully aware that I am the problem there. But it doesn't change that I have that problem. Yet with this, I see what other people do, and I'm like, oh, I understand how that works. So there's only a very basic mechanics anyway. Um, not only do I understand how that works, but like I don't need to make exactly that for my tiny glade to look beautiful. If I see somebody makes a really cool castle, I'm like, that's a really cool castle. And I move on with my day. And I give it a little like, or I say something to the person being like, hey, that's a really cool castle. I love that. Well done. And then they say thanks, and we all just move on. It's as simple as that, and it can be that simple. And that's the thing. Like, I don't find that with a lot of these building games. And with decorating games, I tend to find them fun at first, but I very quickly get bored. Like Pocket Nook, Cozy Room. I've recently got in Make Room. I haven't tried it yet. I got it in the sale. I plan on bringing that to the channel very soon. But my point is, oh, that's not what I meant to do. It's confusing that some games scratch the itch in a good way, and other ones just do it in a way that makes you feel like you're absolute garbage. I really don't know how that sounds. I know that's my problem. I would never, ever, ever say otherwise. I know it's me. But it's something I have to be aware of when I get games. That's why I'm not a competitive person. I mean, within reason. I'm competitive against, like, my brother, because he's my brother. And he can't be better at a game than me when I'm the gamer of the family. That's unacceptable. And it very rarely happens anyway, so it's fine. But like that's a healthy competitiveness. That's healthy competition. Because it's my brother. And he has to go down because he's my brother. It's nothing more than that. You know, so that's fine. That is not an issue. That is a perfectly healthy sibling relationship. And he would be the first to admit it as well. That he only wants to win at games against me because I'm his sister. And it's like, you know, it's bragging rights, frankly. To the point where I'm rather immature about it. Like, he beat me at Mario Kart once and I haven't played with him since. And it's because I gave him my ultimate character. Just saying. He didn't know. He would never pick Shy Guy. But I told him, you know, because he was like moaning that his character was slow. So I was like, well, pick a character like Shy Guy. He was like, what do you normally play as? And I gave him exactly my build. And then he beat me. And he was like, oh, see, yeah, whoa, whoa. And it was just so annoying. So I was just like, I told you to do... We're getting off topic. My brother doesn't watch these. It's fine. He'll never know. The point is, life is hard for different people. But I find that this game just kind of makes things more manageable. Like, for any mood that you're in, you can make something. And I like to think nobody would feel competitive with this. I like to think nobody's looking at stuff that people are building and going, oh, I'd never be able to make that. I'm sure there are people that have that mindset. The same way there's people that are like, why would you be that upset about Animal Crossing? Because of course there's always going to be someone. That's how humans are. But at the same time, that's not the point of these games. And I wish I could rewire my brain in some sort of way. I am aware that a lot of this is rambling. I don't like doing scripted videos. It's not my forte. As much as I love to write, I don't want to do a scripted video. That's just, especially when I'm talking about like mental health and stuff, because then it sounds like I've just researched it and written it up and just gone for it. I feel like this is more personal. So I hope that isn't too much of an issue. Because I do appreciate that not everybody will enjoy this kind of video. Man, I love that. I think that's beautiful. But it's the fact that you're so free, and even with like the tools that you have, you're always able to make something new. And I think that's what constantly brings me back. Because I do come back to this on a regular basis. Sometimes I've built all I'm gonna build and I'll leave it for like, the day, and then I'll jump on if I'm on like my computer and I need a break. Maybe I'll jump on just to see what the daily theme is. If it's something I don't fancy building, I'll just close it, do something else. Um, Maybe get away from the computer for a little bit. But I find that when there is a daily theme that I like today's theme, which is the fairy cottage, I was like, oh, sweet, I love that. That's a really cool idea. And so if you're feeling like, I mean, I've made some very interesting things because I just zoned out and built as I worked through emotions or worked through thoughts or whatever. I've done a few of those. And it does help. It does help a lot. And I know that a lot of people are just going to be like, calm down. It's a game. It's really not that deep. And to those people, I totally get that. I totally get if you're just sitting there thinking it's a building game. Chill. But it's my building game. And I love it. And I kind of want to talk about why it's become part of the channel. Because I know a lot of people will be noticing that I've been posting more of it. Guides, challenges, all that sort of thing. And maybe wondering why. I mean, there's definitely an element of I am obsessed. Don't get me wrong. There is an element of that. But there's also quite a major element of, how do I put this? Man, this is hard. Maybe I should have written a scripted video. It just feels so impersonal, whatever. But the reason I've started putting it on my channel, right, on Mondays especially, is that I find on a Monday in particular, people really find that those are like the hardest days. I don't mean that in a Garfield kind of way, like, oh, I hate Mondays. But no, that's not what I mean, even though he had a point. Even though he didn't do anything on a Monday. But Mondays are hard for a lot of people. It's the day you go back to work after your weekend for some people. And it's just sort of the signal of, I find that Sunday nights and stuff are a lot of darker thoughts of like, is this it? Is this like all I'm gonna do? Especially if you're not, I mean, if you're happy in your role, Monday nights are fine. You're happy in your job. But I find that increasingly these days people are less and less satisfied with the 9 to 5. They feel like there's more to life than just that. And they're absolutely correct. There's no way that this is all we're meant to do. So I totally support why people feel that way. Because I feel that way. Like, I absolutely feel that way. And if you have like a toxic job, it's particularly difficult. There's all sorts of stuff that will make Mondays a difficult time for people. And I think it's just kind of important that at the end, once you've braved your Monday, there's something for you to just put on and turn off your brain. That's why I make these Tiny Glade builds on a Monday, so that when you get home from work, you could just put one of these on your telly and just veg out or eat your dinner and not be alone with any of these thoughts. You can just sort of sit, relax, watch the build, zone out. Quite happy for you to zone out. Maybe play on your Switch while you're watching. All that sort of thing. I just want it to be something for people where once they've had a hard day, they don't have to think. They don't have to do anything. All they need to do, if they wish, is turn on the telly and just enjoy the build. That's it. I just think it's a vibe, frankly, for a Monday as well. Because it's so relaxing, because it's so what it is. You know, other games, it could be like, oh man, she's not playing that properly, or oh man, that's not how I would do it. That's not a game I'm particularly interested in. It's quite a stressful game, whatever. I try not to play stressful games on the channel because it kind of defeats the cozy game purpose, but I get that things like Skyrim might count as that. But yeah, I want something that's almost like, I don't want to say an anchor because that's not the right term, but like something grounding. Yeah, like something grounding is probably the best way to put that. Again, I am aware of the rambling. Don't worry. But yeah, this game is just, it makes me happy in a way that I find hard to describe or really understand for myself. And I'm hoping to basically bring that to you because I hate the thought of people feeling shit, especially on like, especially when it comes to the stresses of life. The stresses of life are very real, are a very real issue for a lot of people. And I really do hate the thought of people just sitting there at nights on their own thinking like, yeah, because I've been there. I'm still there, frankly. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm over everything because I'm not. I'm actually going through some stuff in my personal life. I won't go into it, because it's not appropriate for me to. But if the other day, for example, I had to relive some trauma, to put it mildly, and it affected me in a way I really wasn't actually expecting. I didn't think it was gonna upset me as much as it did. I actually found myself then not feeling very well for the rest of the day. I was just completely burnt out. I was just feeling, yeah, a bit rubbish. But I then just sort of was, it was just one of those days where you were like, oh, I had to deal with stuff I didn't really want to deal with, but it's necessary, so I had to deal with it, trauma wise and all that sort of thing. And I was kind of like, man, what do I do now? Because I felt on edge. I felt like I wasn't using my time productively either. Because I'd obviously done all this stuff that day that I was like, man, should I keep going? Should I keep doing and trying to get stuff done? Do I just get a rest for the night? I almost didn't want to give it a rest because it was so much that I didn't actually want to stop because I knew if I stopped I'd have to think about it a bit more. I did not want to do that. um, so I was a bit like, I was a bit conflicted. Let's put it that way. And that's okay. And I just sort of thought about it, and I was like, what would help? Can I do right now that keeps my hands busy without and lets me sort of think about stuff without it becoming too much? And that was this. And you know what? I built something very beautiful on that day that helped with the trauma quite a bit. And I will show it to you at the end of this, to show you just what I mean, because I know it can be kind of hard to understand what nonsense I'm talking about. because I get it. I do. I just said, thinking, girl, get a grip. And there's definitely some truth to that. But I just find this game helps a lot with that side of things, those elements. And part of me kind of wishes that more people had that sort of thing just like available to them. Because I think it's important to have healthy coping mechanisms, you know? As for some people, that's colouring in. I find colouring in good, but kind of stressful sometimes. Because I'm like, oh, but now I have to think about what colour I'm going to use. And then the colour I use, I'm then like, oh, I don't actually like this as much as I thought I was gonna. A lot of time colouring does work for me, but sometimes it just doesn't. And it stresses me out. And that's silly. Because it's not supposed to do that. But I'm high strung at the best of times. And if you're already feeling frustrated and then you like find that while you're doing your colouring, maybe you go over a line by accident because you don't realise how big the pen is or how big the tip of the pen is, or the colour leaks through because you went over it a little bit too many times, or I might just be revealing how terrible I am at just basic human activities. But a lot of these things just don't work for me. That's my point. Gaming has always been something that's made me feel comforted and yet productive. And I know that sounds bizarre. My dad would just be like, what are you talking about? It's not productive. You could be doing so many other things. No, I do not have daddy issues. But a lot of I've always found gaming to be something that helps me. Like, even when I was young, and I know that sounds weird, but when I was very young, my first game I ever played was Spyro. Spyro the Dragon. Which is the Year of the Dragon, sorry, which is the third game. That was the first game I ever played. And even with all the stresses of school, even with the bullies, the coming home feeling sad and alone, I could just turn on that PS1 and I was a badass immediately. I was amazing at the game because I played it from day one. I'd watched my mum play it, I'd watched my brother play it. Like, I knew that game like the back of my hand, so I could just sit down and do it and just think about my day and be like, well, Spyro wouldn't have this issue. As silly as that sounds. But it was always a coping mechanism. My DS, when, again, stuff was hard, you had Pokemon that you could play to make yourself feel less alone. Because nobody ever hated you in the Pokemon world, other than Team Rocket, but they were incompetent, so it's fine. Or whatever team that you had at the time. The Grunts. Which I always thought was kind of harsh. You know, you had your Nintendogs, which were, you had your daily tasks. You had to look after your virtual dog. And that was great. That helped a lot of the time because you had something just like, I know it's bizarre, but it felt like you had something to be responsible for. I know, I'm insane. What can I say? But yeah, gaming has always been a huge part of my life, a huge part of my very existence. And I wouldn't change that for the world, frankly. But I think that very much plays a part in who I am today. Because I sort of realised when I'm very, very stressed, which is a lot of the time, I don't have the energy to play video games. I don't have the energy to do the things I enjoy doing. And that then makes your low mood worse. Obviously, because you're not doing something that makes you happy. And the older I got, the more I realised I didn't really have the time for video games the way I used to. Which is expected. We grow up, we get more responsibilities, we do what we gotta do. Life is what it is. But something like this, it doesn't take that long and you don't have to just sit there and do it all at once. I like to, But it's not the end of the world if I don't have time to just sit here and make a full build. It isn't the end of the world, because I can just do that, leave, come back, and work on it little bit by little bit. Sometimes that is actually more satisfying. Sometimes. Sometimes. Do I still get frustrated? Yes. Do I still have just no energy even for this? Yes. Absolutely. Because that's life. And there's no perfect cure for mental health. But does it help? Absolutely 100%. And that's kind of why part of me kind of wants to bring this to you. Not just in a way of like, oh, maybe I could inspire you to build something, or, you know, you could turn your brain off for a little bit. But not gaming on computers, gaming in general is not the most easily accessed thing, I find. I watch Let's Players because I can't afford to play every game under the sun. So I tend to use them as my way of getting to see a game that I likely will not be able to buy for a very long time. So that by the time I buy it, I know it's good. I have good memories of it from watching them, but I don't remember it well enough for it to be ruined. There's definitely an element of that. So if this game can help somebody who maybe can't play it, maybe they don't have the computer for it, maybe they don't have, I mean, it's not an expensive game, so, but still it might be more than what's in your weekly budget, especially these days. Like, I would rather just do that and hopefully like make somebody feel a bit less sad for a bit. That's kind of my perspective on it. Again, don't get me wrong. This is not a cure. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, this game cured my depression. Because it didn't. And that would be silly to expect a game to be able to do that, frankly. Games are great, but that's not what they're for. But I hope that through watching me play stuff like this, that if you're unable to get the game, or you're just not that interested in having the game, you prefer just to watch people play it than actually play it yourself, that's perfectly valid. Like, nobody will take that away from you. There we go, our little build's finished now, by the way. There's our little fairy cottage. It's beautiful, right? I just hope that I made my point, which I don't think I did. I feel like I didn't finish like 90% of my trains of thoughts. They're all still at the station, just like, are we ever gonna go? Sorry, guys. I try. I really try. I'm just not, I'm not in the practice of this. But please let me know if you actually don't mind these kinds of videos. I'd like to, just because I'm curious. So that's our build. Very beautiful. I just actually kind of want to see if the lights do. Oh, yes. I love the orange lights. They make everything so warm. Yes. Ah, it's so pretty. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's beautiful. On the day that I was telling you about where I was very, very, very stressed. Again, it's a floral one. Um, I'll just show you what I did on that day because it was a rough day. It was a day that I felt very vulnerable, very exhausted. I did this. I was feeling sick at the time as well, just because of all the stress that I'd gone through that day. And the next day I was still feeling ill as well. Um yeah, it was that day that I had to deal with the trauma and relive stuff and just deal with a lot of stuff that I made this. It was a daily theme, actually. It was a daily theme. It was a daily theme for that day. I just sometimes save daily themes if I don't have time to do them at that time. Just so that they're there so I can go back to them. But the daily theme for this was, there we go, perfect. Daily theme was a cozy park. So that's what I made. As you can see, this is what I did when I was unwell, frankly. I made a little climbing frame with a slide that's actually steps. This is my attempt at swings. This is like the little play park area. You have like a balance beam, because I can remember playing on them when I was young. A little area for the parents to sit and chill. I made a little stage for the kids to perform on while they play, because I used to love doing that when I was younger. Yep, so that's our little actual play park section of the park. Let's just move on this way. And then we have our little sign. If you go this way, because there's a butterfly there, you can see that we made ourselves a little duck pond. And there's like little eggs there, and there's seats all the way around. It's a big, beautiful duck pond. Over here, we have more water. And if you go over here, it's like a gardener's club type thing, which is very cute. And you can sort of wander around in the grass and stuff. It's not all flowers and trees, because I wanted to make it a bit more open than that. If we head this way, hello sheep, please excuse me. Over here, if you follow the dirt track, you get to the groundskeeper's cottage and the sheep shed. So this is where they live. It's very simple, very rustic. I realise it looks a lot like the fairy cottage I just made. Here's the duck pond a little bit more. Got little rocks and nice things. But you can sort of see where my mind was at. There's a lot of like enclosed areas where someone can feel cozy and safe, but there's lots of areas where people can meet so that they're not alone. The duck pond is huge, so that it's not just single ducks. Ducks could be together. The park, very much childhood thoughts there. Balance beams, the stage I used to love to perform on, climbing frame with a slide that looks like a castle. The swings, I used to love the swings. Somewhere for the parents to sit and look after their kids. The stage for kids to play together on. Gardener's club area, which I didn't make that was part of the theme, but I made it into a gardener's club area. Lit up, surrounded by water, but again somewhere that people of a similar mindset can go. I made it so that you can wander the full thing without getting lost. And I made it so that the person who looks after the place has their own little cozy corner. And the dirt track and everything. It's a lot of childhood memories in one build. Just because my brain was so tired and I was so tired and everything was so much and so heavy and so big. I then made this build to cope, basically. I made areas for people to get away. I made areas for people to meet. I made a dirt track that reminded me of my childhood holidays in Wales. I made childhood memories from, the park. The park has a lot of childhood memories. The duck pond is actually as well. Yeah, you can kind of see where I was when I did this. But it's still beautiful, Like if you just saw that, you'd be like, wow, what a nice build. And that would be it. There's a deeper meaning to a lot of stuff, and I know that sounds silly, but there is. And it's only after doing it that I realise. It was a heavy video. Whoops. Again, I don't want my child to be somewhere that's like a negative place or like has a negative energy that everyone's gonna be like, oh man, depressing. I don't want that. But sometimes it kind of has to be. Like, I don't know. I think for a child to live longer than just a couple, like, years, if that, there needs to be an element of personality to it, an element of trust. I guess that's what this video is. Feel free to share anything you want in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed. And thanks for watching, honestly. This is a difficult video for me. Like, I just felt like I needed to explain things. And I think we made something very beautiful while we did it too. But I do hope you guys either enjoyed, felt less alone, felt comforted, any of that stuff. I hope this video did something for someone, even if it's just one person. So feel free to leave a like. I think I already said that, but yeah, please leave a like. And subscribe if this is your first video, or if you've watched a couple of mine now and you think, actually, maybe I will. Please do. I would really appreciate it. It just kind of, yeah, just makes sure that you don't miss anything. So if you enjoy the Tiny Glade builds, you won't miss another one. I'm actually going to start doing, I do live streams on Wednesdays. I'm going to start doing like actual Skyrim stuff on Wednesdays as part of the live streams. If you enjoy that, feel free. And yeah, thank you so much for being here and putting up with me while I rambled. But I hope you enjoyed the build anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Have a good week. Take care, my lovelies. Bye.